welcome to the 2023 Asian Le Mans Series season review. With 4 races contested over a 2-week period between the Dubai Autodrome and Yas Marina circuit, 140 drivers representing 35 nationalities battled it out for their chance to win an invitation to race at this year's prestigious centenary edition of the 24 Hours of Le Mans. So let's take a look at the first 2 rounds that went down at the Dubai Autodrome.
The astonishing backdrop of Dubai again hosted the opening weekend of the 2023 Asian Le Mans Series with a packed grid of 48 cars and clear skies. It was set to be an exciting weekend of racing at Dubai Autodrome. Join Ollie Gavin now for a look around the circuit.
So here we are on board the TF Sport Vantage AMR GT3 number 61 car and at the Dubai Autodrome, 5.39 kilometres, 16 turns and across the start finish line and coming down here into turn 1. This is plunging downhill about 245 kilometres an hour before you hitting hard on the brakes and down into second gear, about 110 kilometres an hour here at turn 1, through and off of there into a very high speed sweeping section of the racetrack. Very hard on the left front tyre here at the Dubai Autodrome. You've got GT3 cars, you've got to be watching for the P cars coming through here because they've got a lot more downforce than these GT3 cars. So come down into the lowest part of the racetrack, turn 6 here, and winding through into turn 7, second gear, about 100 kilometres an hour on the exit of that corner, going back up through the gears, coming into turn 9, one of the banked hairpins here at the Dubai Autodrome. Very, very important corner here for lap time. Getting a really good exit off of here is super important, and with the wind conditions today, it's going to be about 260 kilometres an hour in 6th gear at the end of this straight. A very important overtaking point also at the end of this straight, a very hard braking point. It's turn 10, slowest part of the racetrack, about 65 kilometres an hour, getting to the apex there, nicely done, on the power, hard off of there and into turn 11, sweeping through and then up to another hairpin, which is another good overtaking opportunity here at the Dubai Autodrome, and it's down to about 80 kilometres an hour. 3rd gear though, as you're coming off here, looking for that traction, looking to keep the rears under you as you make it off of there, and then rowing back up through the gears up to 220 kilometres an hour through turn 13, and then hard on the brakes to another banked hairpin, which is again about 80 kilometres an hour at the apex, lining the car up nicely for the exit, driving off of there and into turn 15, which is a little bit of a breathe, up and over the crest and onto the brakes again for the final turn on the racetrack, turn 16, about 100 kilometres an hour at the apex, using a little bit of curb here on the exit, and that is a lap at the Dubai Autodrome.
Race 1 and trouble even before the start for the 23 car. The United Autosports Oreca stuck in the pit lane with electrical troubles as the lights went out and Charlie Cruz got the power down as behind Sally Jolic and Rodriguez Sales battle away for second. The Turkish driver not satisfied with that though. He'd go wheel to wheel with Charles Cruz, but the American in the 43 interior bull car would take the lead and would consolidate that in the first part of his stint. Behind there was a quick spin for the number 33 Herbert Motorsport car and a tight-knit battle. 24 prototypes, 20 plus GTs and the Walkenhurst BMW to the fore in a lead it would not let go for the next 4 hours. Charlie Cruz pulling away from the DKR machine as behind, line astern, a snapping, snarling pack of LMP2s trying to keep in touch. John Falb trying to go around the outside for 3rd place of Rodriguez Sales. Didn't manage it there, but would stick with the task, going wide here over the curbs. Still though, the defending champion would keep the position as Alexandra Kwani in the Cool Racing 37 car also kept in touch. It would be a battle that would go on for the whole 4 hours in LMP2 between almost the whole field. Trouble though for the number 66 Bullet Racing. Aston Martin, after side-by-side contact, saw heavy damage to front and rear suspension. The culprit, an AMG Mercedes. The car would get back to the pits, but not before the race went full course yellow. This after a problem for Alexandre Coigny, and as you'll see in a moment, that was a misjudgment in traffic that left him stranded and unable to find reverse gear to rejoin the race. Attempted pass up the inside on the D station Aston Martin, pitching the Oreca off the circuit.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Full course here.
Back to green, but not for long for John Falb. Got the power down just a fraction of a second too early, and that led to a spin for the number 25 car, and a recovery over the dusty infield wouldn't help matters either at that stage. In LMP3, Torsten Kratz starred in the first hour of the race, but was reeled in by the number 73 Inter-Europol competition, Ligier. But was this on pace, or did the Duquesne have a problem? It was a problem, and a big one. The number 11 car from a dominant position in the class heading towards the pits.
What was the issue, Leonard?
Yeah, so Torsten said he was stuck in gear, and I think we fixed it now, and yeah, try to get back out again and recover as much as possible.
I guess the objective now is to really kind of finish this race and really focus on the others, because you'll be starting in pole again tomorrow.
Yeah, we try to get as much points. Maybe we can score points today. That's the goal, and just to bring it home safe again.
Sadly for Leo Weiss and the WTM by Rinaldi team, the optimism would not be rewarded. The car would retire with repeated gearbox electronics woes. On pit lane, a battle between the two leading cars as Ollie Milroy tried to get the jump in the number 72 Hub Auto Racing Mercedes MG on the leading 34 BMW M4 GT3 from Falkenhorst Motorsports. Milroy, a late addition to the team, could do nothing though about the charge to the front from the BMW. In the overall standings, things were hotting up, and there was a new leader as Hyunchun Guven in the number 3 DCAR engineering car managed to get around the outside of Christian Bogle in the 43 from Inter-Europol competition. As the race moved into night time, the Turkish driver impressed in the DKR car. Bogle would fall back just a little, but would soon pass the car over to another talented driver, Nolan Siegel. DKR pitted from the lead, but would have trouble in the pit stop, and that would change things dramatically. The Luxembourg team going to work as Kiffin Simpson, now aboard the number 25 Algarve Pro racing car, came to the fore and started to challenge for the lead. He would take that lead as the DKR car was still on pit lane. 25 to the lead, 3 cars now in the battle with different pit stop strategies coming into play. The 43 car though for Inter-Europol competition still looked well set for an excellent finish, having led the race twice. Simpson starred, as was Nolan Siegel in the 43 car, until very late in proceedings into the last half hour, when looking set to take the win, the car appeared on pit lane. The team hoping this was a problem with a tyre, but they knew, as we did, as you can see there, the suspension at the left rear was broken. They would soon be back in the garage and out of the race. A race they looked like they could have won.
It's a stellar performance from you. It's his first time in an LMP2 car, and he was battling against Neil Jani. I mean, just take us through that. Take us through that battle, how it was for you.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It's my first LMP2 race, so to be battling with front runners in WEC and IMSA and here is fantastic. So I think the pace is there, and it was an unfortunate failure, but it's good to see that we have the potential for race wins.
One leading contender out from the overall battle, but into the final 20 minutes, and there were still major battles for very significant positions. Lucas Stoltz here under pressure from Fabian Schiller for the second place in GT. Schiller on fresher rubber on the Get Speed car number 10 would go up the inside to take the position from the HRT car, but who would need fuel in the final stages of this race? In LMP3 it went even deeper and further. 11 minutes to go when Fabien Laverne took the lead of the race for MV2S from Xavier Laveris in the number 8 Graf Racing car. This would be a battle that would go on not just for the remainder of this race, but for the remainder of the series. High dramas to come in LMP3. Final splash of fuel for the Valkenhurst BMW was this drama. Did they have it under control? Nicky Katzberg launched just as the number 7 HRT car came by to take the lead. But would they too need a final splash of fuel? Katzberg wasn't waiting for that though. Going side by side with Stoltz with 7 minutes on the clock. This wasn't the AMG going for the pit lane. It looked like it'd been called, but that was enough to allow the BMW back in to the lead. The number 34 car would not be challenged after this, and the AMG behind would indeed need to pit for fuel. They would finish third behind the Get Speed number 10. It would though be a great win for the number 25 Algarve Pro Racing Orica. It would be a win too for Valkenhurst Motorsports in their BMW M4 GT3. Untroubled on pace throughout the race, they'd come through to take the honours. And in LMP3, as the Valkenhurst team celebrated in the garage, as well they might, it would be the number 29 car. Fabien Laverne brings home MV2S Racing on their debut in the Asian Le Mans Series. They take a win at round 1 in LMP3. After a fabulous racing finish between their car and the Graf Racing number 8. Quite a race into darkness at Dubai Autodrome.
James Allen, what a performance. I mean, the big fight with DKR Engineering, and here you are, take the victory of the first race of this ALMS 2023. How do you feel?
Yeah, I mean, it feels amazing. Like, great job to Kiffin and John. They did an amazing job. Same to Marialis, our strategist and engineer. Just amazing. We took a gamble in the last stop to stop a lap earlier, and we got in front, and I just sort of had to manage that lead all the way to the end. So really, it was a team effort, honestly. It was a great job by everyone, and I can't thank them enough for this.
Well done, guys. Congratulations.
A full team effort earns Algarve Pro Racing the overall win in race 1 at Dubai. Hard-fought win in LMP3 from MV2S Racing, and Valkenhurst Motorsports take home the win for BMW. Algarve Pro Racing lead DKR Engineering and 99 Racing after round 1 in Dubai in the LMP2 Teams Trophy. In LMP3, that battle won by MV2S Racing. They top the table from Graf Racing and defending champions CD Sports. Whilst in GT, the BMW from Valkenhurst Motorsports tops the table ahead of the number 10 Get Speed AMG and another AMG, this time from Hout Racing Team, the number 7. There was barely time to take a breath before race 2 on Sunday afternoon at Dubai. The second of the doubleheader of 4-hour races got underway with Charles Cruise, a double pole sitter for the first weekend. He would bring the number 43 car down towards the start line, looking to right the wrong of Saturday night. Power down for the whole field. Charlie Cruise to the lead. Saliholic, very aggressive, too aggressive, in search of second place from Garnet Patterson, the number 23 United Autosports car. That wouldn't work and would later lead to a penalty for the Turkish driver. Behind, there was trouble for Mira Konopka, a spin by himself in front of the whole pack. Amazingly, everybody missed him. Three-way battle for third place, but it was all about the lead battle ahead. Garnet Patterson looking to get onto terms with Charles Cruise. He'd do it just out of our sight here as Mira Konopka got back underway with 4 filthy Michelin tyres, the only damage apart from to his pride. Patterson through to the lead up the inside, but Charlie Cruise keen to grab it back if he possibly could. Wheel to wheel, was that a touch? It may have been. Looked to go to the outside and back around the Australian driver. He wouldn't get it there, would try one more time, but it was one time too many as he went up the inside. Contact? Maybe. Lack of grip? Possibly, but half spin would leave Charles Cruise staring down the barrel of the entire 40-plus car grid as they came powering through before he could rejoin and try once again to push forward to the front of the grid. Next battle to watch was a charging Paul di Resta coming from the outer position on the grid, 22. He'd start today and would look for a way by Saliholic for second, the ex-Formula 1 star and current Peugeot hypercar star, against the bronze-ranked LMP2 Pro-Am champion in the European Le Mans Series for 2022. The Scot and the Turk battling hard, but it would be a decisive move under braking that would see di Resta go forward and into second place. United at this stage 1-2 with Garnet Patterson and Paul di Resta ahead of Saliholic. In LMP3, it had been another dominant start from Torsten Kratz in the number 11 WTM by Rinaldi Duquesne, but caught and passed by the number 18 from 360 Racing. Another run from the back, 2 in 2 races for the British team. But was this pace, or was the looming trouble again for the number 11 Duquesne? For now, 360 Racing for the lead of the class. Battling 2 between the number 25 Algarve Pro Racing team and Charles Cruise, recovering from that spin and getting back up to second place overall, albeit slightly off the strategy of the other leading cars, but putting the Inter Europol team back into contention. It was trouble for the number 11 and the car out of the race inside the first hour. Repeat of the trouble from the day before. Trouble 2 for Saturday night's winner, the 25 Algarve Pro Racing Oreca, John Falb with a left rear puncher. Perhaps too much riding over the curbs, or contact, or both. Trouble 2 for Cool Racing, their LMP3 car, the number 17, hard into the wall at turn 1 after missing his braking point. It would be impacts front and rear and game over for the 17, bringing out a caution. Back to green and getting towards the halfway point of round 2, and a great battle for second between the 21 Ferrari of AF Corsa and the championship leading Vulcan-Hurst Motorsport car. Thomas Merrill battling away up the outside, tried the inside, and then an inch perfect move up the inside of the Ferrari towards the final turn on the lap to claim second place. A great move. Would that set up a second win? Trouble again for the number 72 car from Hub Auto. braking issues at the front right corner, but then massive trouble and a race-ending, a season-ending incident for the 65 Viper Nisa racing car after contact from the 60 Formula Racing Ferrari. A safety car was inevitable as the lifeblood of the Aston Martin seeped away, and Douglas Koo, thankfully an elder statesman of the championship from Malaysia, was able to limp away. He would sit down by the side of the track, winded by a massive impact with the wall. The Aston Martin, as we'll see in a moment, leaving part of the car embedded in the trackside signage. The end of the race for the 65 and the end of the championship too. Douglas Koo felt that one, but lucky to get away unscathed as the car was hammered into the wall. Safety car was called, and after 3 laps behind the safety car, the pit lane would open and would become very busy indeed. Charlie Eastwood climbing aboard the number 3 car from the lead with just over an hour to go. One more pit stop to come for all these cars, but everybody into a very busy pit lane, including the 25 from second that would require the dollies to get to its fuel rig. A packed pit lane. There would be winners and losers in terms of time, and when we got back to green flag running, it was a battle for 3rd position this time between Algarve Pro and Nielsen Racing, and it was the Nielsen car in the hands of Matthias Besch that would take that position. The defending champions pushing hard to get back onto terms to retain their title. Getting close to the final fuel stop window, and Charlie Eastwood led the race, but he was being caught at this stage by Nolan Siegel in the 43 car. And with once again the DKR team losing time on pit lane, it was Siegel that was soon onto terms with the Northern Irishman. And the pace of the young American against the feisty fighting spirit of the Northern Irishman made for a great battle, finally won inside the final half hour by the Indy Next driver. 43 to the lead from the back of the field, remember, on lap 1. Behind in LMP3, it was a reversal of fortunes between the 2 battling cars in LMP3. DKR Engineering led the race, but this time it was Graf Racing's turn. Xavier Oliveras putting a move on Fabien Laverne to put the number 8 Ligier ahead of the 29 MV2S car for second in the points battle. Into Europol would have been nerves a-jangling as we get closer to the end of the race, that very final lap after the late retirement on Saturday. But this time it was a faultless finish. Christian Bogle, Charles Cruz, and finally Nolan Siegel bringing home the first ever LMP2 win for the Racing Bakers from Poland. A new look squad and a great win in the Asia Le Mans Series late on Sunday evening for the number 43 Oreca 07. Still battles up and down the field, but it would be a win and a second win in the championship out of 2 for the Volkenhurst Motorsports BMW, aided somewhat by the safety car, but a dominant run nonetheless. The number 34 car with Chandler Hull, Thomas Merrill and Nicky Katzberg would head the points in dominant fashion after a packed weekend at Dubai Autodrome. And coming in to take the win in LMP3 would be the DKR Engineering number 5 Duqueine. Valentino Catalano and Tom Van Rompuy, a dominant win too. Fabulous stuff, and joy from Christian Bogle with Sasha Fassbender, the team manager. Charles Cruz greeting them home. Great stuff too for Volkenhurst and for DKR Engineering. A fabulous race on Sunday evening, and what a way to finish a great doubleheader at Dubai Autodrome.
What a stellar performance from Noah, of course. Will you just tell us about it, how it went for you?
Yeah, it was fantastic. I think the inner Europol car was great all day, and Charles and Christian both did an amazing job in their stints. Charles put it on pole, and we've all led a lot of laps in all of our stints, so it's a real team effort, and it's amazing to come away with the win.
Victorious for Inter-Europol competition, DKR Engineering take the LMP3 win, and Volcanos Motorsports cap a dominant weekend in Dubai with a second win for them. Algarve Pro Racing a single point ahead of DKR Engineering, with Inter-Europol and Nielsen Racing well in touch as well. In LMP3, another great race sees MV2S cling on to the lead from Graf Racing. DKR Engineering close the gap though with the win in the race 2 in Dubai, and a dominant performance again from Volcanos Motorsport mean that they will go to Abu Dhabi clear leaders in the championship.
After 2 rounds at the Dubai Autodrome, the Asian Le Mans Series moved south to the capital of the United Arab Emirates, Abu Dhabi, to Yas Marina Circuit, one of the most spectacular and modern circuits in the world, where the 2 final rounds of this year's championship would be decided.
Just an hour down the highway, but Abu Dhabi is a very different place from Dubai. Massive skyline in the background, but plenty of reminders of where we are in the world, and a very different circuit, the ultra-modern Yas Marina circuit and the W Hotel at its centre with Ferrari World. Let's get to hear about it from Oliver Gavin.
On board here with the number 9 P3 car for Graf, heading down pit lane, and we're just going to do a lap of the Yas Marina circuit here in Abu Dhabi. 16 turns, 5.55 kilometres. Into turn 1, hard on the brakes, about 110 kilometres an hour at apex there. Second gear, hard on the power, off of there, flat out through turn 2, about 190 kilometres an hour, and then little breathe for turn 3, 195 kilometres an hour, being careful of the track limits on the exit there as you're coming down the hill and into turn 5. New tarmac, high grip, really good grip here, about second gear, 80 kilometres an hour. Important to get a very good exit for lap time there. This is a good opportunity coming up now, coming into turn 6 for overtaking. It's the longest straight on the racetrack. Looking for that opportunity to pass somebody in your class or to get through traffic. Coming down hard on the brakes now into turn 6, all the way down the box into first gear, 60 k's an hour at the apex there. Very important exit here to get a traction, tricky, a little bit off camber. You're rowing again up through the gears and looking at passing people on this part of the racetrack. Nice open big piece of racetrack, lining yourself up for turn 9. Multi-class racing, super important. Your position here, turn 9, another place that has got a lot of grip, and it's multi-lines and lanes here, which really helps with this multi-class racing. So as you come through and off, flat out through turns 10 into 11, then hard on the brakes with the W Hotel right in front of you, down to about 90 kilometers an hour. Another tricky left-hander off camber, still second gear, and another tricky left-hander off camber. It's super important with the traction off of here, and then lining yourself up for the last 2 corners of the racetrack as you're coming down into the final corner, second gear, 90 kilometers an hour at the apex, and that is another lap of the Yas Marina circuit here in Abu Dhabi.
Race 3 of the Asia Le Mans Series in 2023 was race 1 at Yas Marina, and as Ahmed Al-Hati, the pole sitter, pulled away, there was a tussle between 3 cars behind that saw Rodrigo Salas in the 24 Nielsen car spin away a 4th place. As the P2 cars came roaring down to the hairpin, up at the top, there is the smoke trail from the number 21 Ferrari. A puncture and then a subsequent spin saw contact with the Bullet Racing Aston Martin, both cars more or less out on the spot, and then side-by-side contact with the second AF Corsa Ferrari, the number 60 Formula Racing team, and the 77 D-Station Aston Martin. Up front though, it was Saliolic going for the lead into the chicane and putting the move on Ahmed Al-Hati that forced the Omani driver wide, allowed Charles Cruz through to second, and Paul Di Resta charging from further down the grid up to third in the 22 United Autosports Oreca. Charles Cruise looked to try to make it 3 leaders on the first lap with a move around the outside of turn 9, the bank turn. The 43 car running a little wide but finding enough traction even over the curbs to make the move stick as the rest tried to follow suit, but found that Sally Jolic was not eager to give away the place. Cruise ran wide but still retained the lead as again De Resta looked up the inside this time of the number 3 car, but once again Sally Jolic not keen to let the Scot through. Tussle between 2 of the GT cars at the chicane brought out brief yellow flags, and behind there were battles aplenty in P2 and P3 as Torsten Kratz once again led in the number 11 WTM by Rinaldi Duquesne, looking for better luck today than he had in Dubai. De Resta was soon through into second spot and on the tail of Charles Cruise as Mikkel Jensen in the Car Guy 57 Ferrari led GT from Nian Talbot, charging the number 72 Hub Auto Racing AMG. Battle for third was Algarve Pro Racing's John Falb, also having put a move on Ahmed Al-Hati, but proceedings were soon interrupted after a huge accident for Johnny Larison, tagged by an LMP2 car and pitched into the barrier at turn 1. That would leave the car wrecked, Larison mercifully unhurt, but the barriers requiring 50 minutes repairs under the red flag. When the race went back to green, we had a new lead battle as cars pitted into Europol with Charles Cruise fending off the second United Autosports car, the number 23 of Yasser Shaheen, for the lead as the halfway point approached. 43 car seeing off the challenge from 23. Behind this, there was a further battle as the 25 car from Algarve Pro Racing fended off the 98 racing car, and the 22 United Autosports car tried to see off the challenge from the number 3 D-Car engineering car that led the championship at this stage. '22 though would soon be by the number 3 after a spirited resistance from the number 3 car. It would be United Autosports up into 3rd and 4th at this stage. Just under an hour and a half to go, and a good result looked on for United Autosports. Battle for second this time between Christian Boglum and Paul De Resta. De Resta in the slipstream coming into the back turn, and again looking for the favoured outside line. Would it work? Not this time. Would the cutback work? Not at all. Emerging as a real contender was the number 37 car, Nico Lapierre, stepping aside to allow his young protege Malte Jakobsen full song for 3 of the 4 hours in this race. As the LMP3 battle and the GT battle had been rather interrupted by the red flag, it was a strong run for the MV2S racing squad. Battle for fourth between Nielsen Racing, Matthias Besch looking to fend off a charging Neil Jani in the 98-99 racing car. The Swiss on Swiss battle would go on for lap after lap. Trouble for the number 43 car, missing its pit stall as the team's LMP3 car was already on pit road, and a tear off for Jani. He was struggling to get the battle done with Matthias Besch. Jakobsen though was imperious as Alexandre Kwani looked on. His young teammate was securing a very healthy lead. Into the final pit stops, and again the 24 car managed to get by the 98. Jakobsen meanwhile looks set for a reasonably easy win, as just as Kiffin Simpson in the 25 Algarve Pro car looked like he might be able to contest a podium position, a spin out of the final turn left him backwards into the barriers. Later emerged a gearbox fault had left the car out of control and also meant that Simpson was left without a gear to be able to restart. He finally restarted the car in second. Into the final moments, with the yellow flag still there for a stranded Kyffin Simpson, who would make the finish, Jakobsen on his way to a famous win, his first in LMP2, to follow up with his LMP3 title in the European Le Mans Series of 2022. It would be cool racing from United Autosports 22 and United Autosports 23 at the finish of this race, and a famous victory for the number 7 Al Anamar racing car from the Hout Racing team. Al-Faisal Al-Jaber bringing the car to the finish, and a win too for Nielsen Racing after bad luck in Dubai. Tony Wells and Matt Bell, the team looking to get back on track after a 2021 title and less luck last year. HRT Al-Amar Racing were absolutely elated and pleased too with the Cool Racing team. They were utterly delighted with the form of the young Dane, who has surely got a huge future ahead of him. 3 more different winners in race 3, and that left title battles aplenty to go forward for the final race, which would come just 24 hours later, again of course at Yas Marina Circuit.
Malte Jakobsen, I am speechless but not surprised. Congratulations for your first race victory in an LMP2 car. How do you feel?
Thank you very much. It's an amazing feeling. It was a long race, as I did the last around 2 hours on my own. But I just want to say a huge thank you to Cool Racing and Alex as well, who did an amazing job in the first hour. And the team have done an amazing job the whole weekend. And we have been prepared really well from Dubai and learned a lot, even though the races were not quite playing in our favor. But I think we showed today what we can do.
So a debut win in LMP2 for Malte Jakobsen. Alex Juanis shares the top step. It's a great result too for Nielsen Racing winning LMP3 and Al-Manar Racing from Oman take the win in GT. DKR Engineering lead the way with just 1 race to go. They've got a 9-point gap over 2 teams on even points, Alcard Pro and DKR Engineering. MV2S and Graf Racing 10 points apart now, with DKR still in the hunt. And in GT, it's a dominant lead for Valkenhurst Motorsport over the on-form Hout Racing team, AMG, and GetSpeed AMG teams. BMW lead the way. 10th day, it would be the final race. The race at Abu Dhabi that would decide the 3 championship winners and the 3 teams that will be invited to take part in the biggest race in the world, the centenary edition of the 24 Hours of Le Mans. Triumphs, heartbreaks, accident, incident and some amazing racing. It would all come down to this. 4 hours to decide it all. The final race of the season. 8 LMP2 cars still in the championship hunt, with 4 in LMP3 and 3 in GT. And again, Ahmed El-Hati would lead away the pack. 2 pole positions in his debut weekend LMP2. Cars running wide at the start, but a far more orderly start than the previous day's events. Trouble again, amazingly though, for the number 11. Hit from the rear by the 23 United Autosports car. A wretched season for the WTM by Rinaldi team. Aside from that though, it was a relatively orderly start. Still 40 plus cars contending another final 4-hour encounter. Fast and furious stuff again, as El-Hati got away this time, and a double overtake from Paul Di Resta as he took the number 22 United Autosports car to second place on lap 1. Ahmed El-Hati fended him off as best he could, but was no match ultimately for the Scots. Far, far more experience in the number 22 car. and the Omani racer eventually had to give best to the Scot. De Resta got his head down. His job was to pull out as big a lead as possible for the bronze-ranked Jim Maguire to get aboard the car. Battles galore too in GT. Valkenhurst Racing very much the favourites, but they were well down the field at the start of the race. A touch between the Herbeth Racing 20 and the 23 United Autosports car would see both pitched off track. That led to damage for the 23, which had also got a penalty for the contact at the start with the 11. Jammed starter for DCAR Engineering's race-winning number 5, and into the pit stops for the LMP3s and the GTs as they worked out their differences and set up a grandstand finish, particularly in LMP3. LMP2 stops underway as well, and United Autosports went to work. New tyres on the 22. There's the number 7 HRT car up the inside of John Hartshorn from Martin Conrad, a standout bronze talent for the series. The number 7 crew up into second place and working on a double win, they hoped, at Yas Marina. Side by side down to the chicane, and the Omani registered car run by Haupt Racing Team from Germany took the position comfortably. Away the black AMG went as Hartshorn tried to hang on in the number 95 Aston Martin, but he had to give best on this occasion. Leading at this point, Klaus Bachler in the Herbeth Motorsport 33. As two AMGs in competition, it was a spin for Liam Talbot in the number 72 as he tried to go into terms with the number 10 Getsby car. Ollie Milroy and Jules Gounon looking on with a little bit of dismay. It's not been their season. Trouble, meanwhile, for the second Graf Racing car. Not the car in title contention, but the number 9. That car would be out of the race after contact from the rear. A brush together with the 55 car, and then the two would make contact as the 9 spun out. The 9 out of the race, and fluid down from the burst radiator of the car would see several cars spin out, mercifully with no further damage. The full course yellow. When it went back to green, away went the 43 car, and into a 10-second lead over the number 98. Again, another team looking to secure a double win and still very much in title contention. 43 was soon in a lead battle with Neil Jani, who took the position with a neat move at the bottom of the circuit at the hairpin. The 98 car at this stage looking like it could be a race-winning contender. Battle for second, meanwhile, as Charles Cruz was under pressure, this time from another series standout, another man in his LMP debut series, Heinchen Guven, the championship-leading DKR car, taking second place and putting more potential points on the board as Charlie Eastwood looked on. Trouble, meantime, for the number 24 and 37 cars, and it was Malte Jakobsen a little too eager to try to get by Matthias Besch. He'd hit the car from the rear, there would be a penalty, and that would cost Cool Racing dear. The young Dane forced to tough it out and fight for the last 90 minutes. Pit lane for the number 8 Graf Racing car, and looking to see what could be done to secure the title, led the race from its nearest title rival, the 29 MV2S car. But it was nip and tuck on the pit stops with the number 29. The points battle could not have been closer at this stage. More comfortable in the points was the 34 Valkenhurst Motorsport BMW. The BMW call to the pit from the lead, but the battle between the M4 GT3 and the number 7 AMG was close. 90 minutes to go, and the number 29 car was in competition for second place with the Cool Racing number 17, another quick LMP3, and that could be decisive as the 17 car made it by just over an hour to go. Points meant everything at this stage in LMP3. Charlie Eastwood now aboard the DCAR engineering car, and after a fabulous battle with the number 98, Eastwood would come out the victor and secure the race win and the championship win and the automatic invitation to the Le Mans 24 Hours in its centenary year for DKR Engineering. Charlie Eastwood with Ayhan Guven and Sally Jolic. A magnificent season and in contention everywhere. Delight for the two Turkish drivers. Elation from Eastwood after a stellar drive. It would be the number 7 that took the race win, closing the points gap to the BMW. But the Valkenhorst Motorsport BMW crew would take the title. Double win though for the Omani flagged Mercedes AMG squad. Martin Conrad, Alfaizer Al-Zabir and Lukas Stoltz. And an astonishing finish in LMP3 with the second place changing hands in the dying minutes, and meaning that on countback the race winner would be the championship winner. The number 8 Graf Racing squad would take race win and championship win. Elation from the winners in all 3 classes. Utter delight on the faces of the drivers and the crews after a quick-fire 4-race season over just 10 days. 3 championship winning crews, 3 teams going to Le Mans.
Gentlemen, I'm joined here by DKR Engineering, 2023 Asian Le Mans Series winners here at Abu Dhabi finally, and of course guys, you'll be getting an invitation to 24 Hours of Le Mans. How do you feel?
Yeah, it's been a mental couple of weeks, to be honest. Obviously new team for us, relatively new car for the team also, so in the background we've been working absolutely flat out, and already the schedule's super packed. But yeah, it's one of those races that you're sort of sitting in fourth thinking, are we actually going to lose the championship? And then next thing you know, you're in the lead of the race. So yeah, credit to these guys. When the pressure was on, there was 0 mistakes today from the whole team. So yeah, mental result.
An astonishing race to cap an astonishing 4-race season. DKR Engineering, Charlie Eastwood, Ayhan Guven and Sally Jolic clinched the championship and clinched for the team the automatic entry to the 24 Hours of Le Mans. 76 points, plays 54. Cool Racing finished second, Algarve Pro third. Both those teams took race wins, as did 5th place into Europol competition. An astonishingly close season right up until the final race. Amazing stuff and a breakthrough year for this class. In LMP3, Cool Racing on the podium at the finale, together with the 2 teams that duked it out. Jubilant Graf Racing crew and bitterly disappointed MV2S.
Xavier, what a fantastic result. You really waited till the very final round here in Abu Dhabi and you pulled out all the stops, not only winning here the 4 hours of Abu Dhabi, you are LMP3 Asian Le Mans Series champions, and you will win, of course, your invitation to this year's 24 Hours of Le Mans. How do you feel?
It's amazing. I mean, I have no words. We have done an amazing job during the 4 races. We were a bit unlucky yesterday, finishing 4th, but today we nailed it. The teammates did a good job, very good on the pits as well, and we ended up in the P1.
A quite outstanding finish to an outstanding season in LMP3, with Graf Racing taking the title on double count back from MV2S Racing, so unlucky to lose it in the final moments of the season. Nielsen Racing and DKR scored race wins but couldn't come close to the season-long form of the top two. In GT, it was a double podium for AMG, but it was a championship-winning podium for Valkenhurst Motorsports. Almanar Racing, though, take a second win at Abu Dhabi for Oman. Valkenhurst take the title and the automatic entry. Haupt Racing's surge in form brings them a close second place.
And that concludes the 2023 Asian Le Mans Series Championship. Thank you so much for following us. What a fantastic season it was. The good news is we'll be back in 2024 for even more. Goodbye.